What's up?
How is that for timing?
Are we on?
Yeah.
Hello.
The intro is done. Here, take the laptop. I can't reach the. I got to turn you down a little bit. I have you too hot. Stream number 4, and we're still not prepared, but that's a-okay. A-okay. We accept all things around here. All right, put this up here.
That's how I got the gig.
John was like actually the backup to the backup to the backup, but yeah, it's all good.
It's great to be loved.
He had the fastest internet.
Yeah. Too loud? Sorry.
But yeah, so welcome to Player Tuesday, our weekly live stream, soon to be podcast, where two bros just hang out on the couch and talk about some things that we like to talk about, usually involving gaming, movies, and tech. And I'm Curtis, by the way.
Oh, I would be John.
This is John. And yeah, welcome everybody. So every week we start out the same way. We just kind of go over how the previous week went. So John, how was your week, buddy?
Pretty good. It was all right. It was cold.
Yes, indeed. We got a lot of ice.
That's true.
More ice on top of ice. No, it hasn't been that bad, but
No.
just
Nope.
cold.
Yep. And windy.
Which is like the worst because it doesn't matter how many layers you put on, like the wind just cuts right through anything you have on. Ugh. But
Yeah.
did you do anything fun? Did you wear pants?
I did. I went to see my parents. They frown upon no pants. I don't know why. And I also spent about an hour in the freezing cold and wind trying to peel the undershielding that was already falling down underneath my car out of there.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
Yeah, so when I was a mechanic, I was telling John about this earlier. It was like once wintertime hit, I don't know how many cars rolled through the shop and how many dozens of little plastic clips I was replacing on splash shields underneath cars. It was like they saw a mound of snow and they had to like aim for it. And when they did, it just ripped all the shielding off from underneath their car. Ugh.
For me, I've just been losing pieces of shielding for a while now. I don't know. It's like I lost that one piece that held all the others in there.
Bro, they make duct tape. Just saying. It's not broke unless super glue and duct tape can't fix it. That's how I used to be a mechanic. I promise I did not fix anything with duct tape and or super glue unless it was my own junk. But, oh man. Did you play any Warframes?
Mostly not. I played a little last night. That's the first time I've played in a week or so now.
Yeah.
That might mean trouble. I don't know how much longer I'll stick in then.
Oh, no, you gotta stick in there, man. The Warframes is worth it. It's worth it, I promise. Even though you're further along than I am.
Don't you want to collect all your action figures?
They're space dolls. Get it right. But, yeah. So, was that it for your week?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I drove down Martinsville area to see my folks. Didn't do a whole lot. Just hung out. Played some games, some board games.
What'd you play?
This twisted version of Life, I guess.
How could it be twisted?
It was called Life, Quarter Life Crisis, I think.
Ooh, sounds dangerous.
And the whole setup is that you start the game broke, and that
I don't like this game. It sounds too close to my life.
you have your options for houses are things like treehouse or friend's couch. In addition to picking up paychecks, you also pay rent. You can, in the same spot that allows you to marry, you can also get divorced.
Yikes. All in a quarter life, man.
Well, I believe that. Yeah. I don't know. It was okay. My family enjoyed it a lot more than I did.
Well, we're kind of like in that age group to where it's like not really funny. It's kind of like, man, this is a little too real.
Might as well just go home and act out my day.
Oh man, but that does sound pretty fun though.
It was interesting.
I was never really a big fan of the original Life games. Like, to me, they were always kind of like vanilla. Like,
It's fun, but it's also kind of. I mean, in the sense, well, I guess that is debatable. It's very simple. You just spin the die. You spin the spinner, and then you just go, right? I mean,
spin-a-rooney.
just follow the board. I've always seen in television and such and movies that people take a life and they put their own personal life and they poster it on. I always thought that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. Life of a YouTuber. You just sit in a room by yourself and edit videos that you film by yourself.
I think there is a Flash game about being a YouTube
It's so
content
lonely.
creator.
Yeah, it was actually made by PewDiePie.
What was it really?
Yeah.
Is that a true
Well,
story?
I don't think he like actually made the game, but yeah, it was he designed it,
No, okay.
which was kind of funny. Not to go too off topic because I know we try to stick to somewhat of a schedule, but yeah, Casey Neistat actually had a really good video he released earlier today regarding like the struggles of YouTube and like burnout and how like you put these expectations on yourself of how you have to release a video like every week, every day, whatever, and yeah, basically it burns out your passion. And PewDiePie was one of the people that was interviewed in the article Casey was talking about. And yeah, it's a pretty good video. I go check it out. If you haven't heard of Casey Neistat, you might want to climb out from under the rock you're living under and subscribe to his channel. But yeah, he interesting stuff. But like I said, I don't want to go too far down that road. But yeah.
Okay. How was your weekend, by the way? Anything?
Man, I had a freaking week. So like life has like had this snowball effect here in the past few weeks where like the amount of stuff I have to do just keeps like compiling and compiling and compiling, and I'm like, how am I going to get it all done? So a lot of stress there, a lot of like not sleeping. I think in the past 2 weeks I've gotten into bed before 11:30 like once, and usually I get up at like 5:30 in the morning. Not to complain, I love my life, love what I'm doing, but yeah, it's been pretty crazy, and had a pretty big project this weekend and ran into a few snags with it, so unfortunately that kept me from releasing a video this weekend. But the video will be releasing tomorrow, thankfully. This is something that I've put a lot of time into, which kind of, without spoiling too much, I managed to get my main computer back up and running, which was super nice. I also have my NAS unit set up to where I can actually install all my games on my NAS. And then from my laptop, from the computer, from wherever, I can just access that Steam library and play from that. Of course, like if I want to bring my laptop to work, I have to install the game actually on it. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty set up. I only have one hard drive, and it's attached to the motherboard. So that made room for more water cooling. Because who needs hard drive space when you can make it look cooler? Hey,
That's my motto.
EdVac is not supposed to be purely like functionality, but aesthetics as well. So, yeah, it's been a pretty cool project. Got a few other little odds and ends I need to do to it, but that's stuff that can wait a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, that was my weekend. Just work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the kind of guy where the way I recharge my batteries is like going off by myself and just working on a project that I have, be it YouTube, be it like whatever. As long as like I can just focus on what I'm doing and just diligently work on it without a whole bunch of like snags, I'm happy. The only time it gets to be a problem is when I'm like dog tired, and it's not a sense of like, well, let me get this project done, but it's like, let me get this job done. There's ghosts in this house. But yeah, so pretty productive weekend.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't tell you this apartment was built on an Indian burial ground.
Oh man, I sense a new horror movie in the making.
Well, not this apartment, just this couch.
Just a couch. The couch is buried.
The couch is made of dead Indians. I don't. Is that offensive? Sorry.
That's so nasty. I noticed it like smells funny, but but yeah. So week was pretty good on that note.
So yeah, some of it along. You ready?
No, I'm done. I'm waiting on your epic segue.
Well, you were. I gotta. Speaking of, can I do this? Will you allow me? Nah. Okay, let's just do this. Why don't you just? Oh my goodness!
I shouldn't have put him on the spot. I shouldn't have. Oh, I've done it now. He is all kinds of.
Didn't he start the stream by saying I was the backup's backup? What's he doing?
Does this guy do anything for this live stream?
You said I just had to sit here, wear the stupid grin. All right, so you were telling me about something about Machinima.
Yeah, so
but I did not hear this before today.
Yeah, as many of you know, the YouTube channel Machinima, I believe they also had some website stuff as well. A lot of pretty famous content creators have found their start on Machinima. One of which being like Admiral Baru. He did a lot of like Borderlands 2 stuff.
Sure.
As well as some others.
Plenty of folks.
Yeah, so a while back, Machinima was
some
purchased.
Good experiences.
Yeah.
A few.
Let's see here. It looks like a while back, Machinima joined forces with Otter Media, which means they were probably just purchased out. A lot of employees received a letter that they would be transferred to Full Screen, which is a under Otter Media, but basically a lot of famous streamers and people like that. I believe Ninja works for them. Rug Tfue, as well as some other creators. All of them work under them, and they were reassured that like it's their mission to empower them, to help bring them up. And, yeah, apparently last week or earlier in the weekend, Machinima moved all of their videos to private. Yeah. So you can no longer view Machinima's videos. You just get the, like, grayed out box, signifying it is now private. And a lot of creators have spoke out on Twitter as well as some other communities. Some of which have worked with Machinima for like 7+ years. These creators are almost like private contractors, and the fact that they come up with the material, they submit it to Machinima. If Machinima likes it, then they keep like their series going. But yeah, without warning, they just pretty much cut ties. And a lot of the people that were on board, like actually with Machinima, they suffered some layoffs. They've either been transferred and just unhappy or stuff like that. It's real sad to see. They've been around for a very, very long time. And when you think of like YouTube gaming, like Machinima is probably one of the big names you associate with that. So unfortunate. I hope all the creators land on their feet and take off running. But yeah. So unfortunately, that is the first news topic of the week. We're starting out sad, but we're slowly gonna like hopefully build up.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if the next topic's much better.
Not a lot of good news this week. Like it's surprising how down it's been. But yeah. So since you dumped me with the first topic, I'll let you take over on the second.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what. I'll impart what I know. I was trying to think of a masterful segue. I'm not as good as Curtis.
This is also another topic that I brought up to John. And
so, a long time ago in Galaxy Far Away.
careful, you could get copy striked for that.
Oh, I was just kidding.
Disney,
I'm new, please. They're
yeah.
Flirting with the Disney. They're
Flirting with the devil.
That's what I said.
So
same thing, right? All right. So there's a you know what? I don't know his name.
All right.
Now that I think about it, but the creator of Star Wars Theory, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a YouTube channel. I've actually been subbed to it for a while now because I'm a huge dork. And yeah, it's called Star Wars Theory. And the guy has like a huge following. And he's one of the only, like, I'd say one of the only Star Wars creators that's not like biased in the fact of like he dumps on the prequels and the new sequels and like is strictly only the old school trilogy. He kind of embraces everything and just kind of sees it out as it is and how it fits into the timeline, and really goes in depth about some things, like ask questions that no one else really tends to ask, like does Darth Vader like feel his suit, like is he in pain all the time, like really tries to break down the character of the story and kind of entertain like where they're at. And yeah.
And he recently I've never seen any of his content, and I haven't seen this one either, although you have. But recently he put out a fan film that focuses on Vader, on Darth Vader.
Yeah, so I believe it's called Shards. Ooh, let me look this up real quick.
Sure.
But yeah, he did come out with a Vader fanfic. Star Wars.
That was pretty well produced, right?
Yeah,
a lot of time and effort.
He
just like
spent
the rest of his content. But.
Yeah, so when he originally went to make this film, he went to LucasArts and was like, "Hey, what are the rules about me making this fan film? Like, can I monetize it? Can I crowdfund it?" And basically, he was told, no, you can't crowdfund any kind of fan film. You can't monetize on it. Like, your music has to be original. You can't use the original music, of course. And, yeah, he really, like, crossed his T's and dotted his I's and came up with Shards of the Past, a Vader fan film.
Right.
And yeah, spent over $150,000 of his own money to produce this film. And I have to say, today was the first day I watched it, and I'm shocked with how well he paid attention to detail. Like, I've watched all of his casting stuff where he found the actors, he found the voice actors, and things like that. The girl that plays Padme really, really plays Padme well, and it's kind of weird because she actually looks like her.
Really?
And looks like Natalie Portman. And the guy that plays Vader apparently is like a nation-renowned like Darth Vader cosplayer.
Oh, okay.
And like actually took classes in like sword fighting and stuff like that to try to learn like how to wield a lightsaber. And yeah, he put a lot of effort into this movie. Well, apparently last week he received an email that Warner Chappell and Disney had put up not a strike against his YouTube channel, but had taken over monetization.
Right, a copyright claim.
Yeah.
Warner is notorious for copyright claims. And the way that Nintendo tends to be have a real close eye on video streaming and take down anything, Warner is always on the prowl.
Yeah.
For music. It was the music was copyright claimed.
Yeah, Warner Chappell is the one that takes care of all the licensing for Disney's movies and franchise.
On their music, right?
Yeah, so Warner was the one that had actually filed the claim and took over monetization. And from the way the director slash owner of Star Wars Theory talked, if he were to monetize, he would have made $80,000 in the first week off of the movie. He did state, of course, like he didn't make this movie for the money, even if he could, that he truly cares about the community, and just wanted to kind of make his own process and thoughts of
when he was looking for LucasArts' permission. They told him out the gate that he couldn't monetize, and he decided that despite that, because of his passion for the process, he would still carry it through, because that's what was important to him, was making this film, was sharing some of the love for he had gotten so much enjoyment out of this franchise that he wanted to share some of that back.
Yeah, and which I just think is so respectable. Like, I'm sure that we're not hearing the entire story. After all, there's always like three sides to a story, like my side, your side, and the truth. Because naturally we're going to kind of lean more towards our opinions and thoughts. But I don't think the guy is full of crap in what he's saying. He seems pretty genuine. And if he's willing to put an entire house worth of money into a film that he can't monetize, like, I truly think his heart was in the right place. And like he really was doing it for the community, because I love making tech videos, but like I don't know if I could fork out $150,000 to do like some sort of film for the tech industry. Like, oh, that would hurt. But
so it seems like what Warner got him on was a rendition in the film of a theme that clearly was inspired by the Imperial March. From what I've heard without seeing it, so, and I know you have, so I want to hear your thoughts, but
yeah.
Supposedly what they caught him on was that he had hired someone to create an orchestration of a theme, and obviously it was supposed to and did resemble very close to the Imperial March. And Warner said that while it wasn't a direct rip, that it was still too close, I suppose, that it still utilized
And they tried to pull some real shady stuff right here. In their letter, they explained that since they owned the licensing for the music, therefore they own the rights to any, of course, copies. But then they go to say any covers and or basically inspired music based upon their licensed product, which is total bull crap. If you make a cover, like if I was to sing a well-known song and play guitar and make a cover of a song, basically I'm making it my own. Yes, the lyrics are the same. Yes, the title might be the same, but the actual music arrangement itself, which is the licensed portion of it, lyrics aren't licensed. Basically any tracks, anything like that, that's what you're actually licensing. But yeah, to go and say that any covers or renditions of their music made they own the rights to is complete and utter crap. This guy paid a professional, like John said, to look at the music from Star Wars and compose his own version of it, and after watching the film and hearing the portion they were talking about, it is so bullcrap that they made that claim.
That does not really surprise me. I mean, like I said, Warner is notorious for it,
Yeah.
and they've made a lot of questionable calls in the past. Of course, I mean, if Warner strikes you, you're struck. There's not a lot.
Yeah, and unfortunately, and not to get, I'm not getting too political here, but it's honestly just the facts. A lot of times in the U.S. legal system, whoever carries the bigger stick or the most money tends to have the better advantage. And this guy is just a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers. This is Warner. They even told the guy that if he tried to appeal it or, seek legal justification, that essentially they would just take his video down and then strike his channel, which could potentially cause his channel to be erased from YouTube. Just poof, gone. All his years of work, all his years of dedication, just gone.
Now, it's a pretty emotional situation, and thusly there's a lot of misinformation spread around it.
Yeah.
It's important to note that they didn't strike his channel. They
No.
didn't sue him.
They were just threatening.
All they did do was throw a copyright claim on his video. Thus, you'll see. Well, you would have seen an advertisement, maybe more than one. I don't know. In between the video, I don't know the length of it.
It's only a 16-minute video.
Oh, okay. But But so the footnote for this story, in terms of facts, is that this happened, I think, a few days ago. Within this past week here.
Say it was last Monday or Tuesday. Okay. Actually, it was Monday. It was Monday because I was like, oh, man, I wish I would have heard about this. We could have talked about it last week.
I mean the portion that LucasArts, the representatives.
We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
I had one more thought I wanted to finish about this music. Talking about how it sounded inspired by the Imperial March, but totally was not the march. Whoever this guy hired to do all the music did a phenomenal job. I just gotta say, for what it's worth, this is probably some of the best Star Wars inspired music I've heard. And I've watched a lot of fan films and things like that, some of which just blatantly use the music from the movies. And I've got to say, the guy really did take a lot of care. If you heard it in the background, it would make you think Star Wars. But if you know the movies, know the Imperial March song, and then hear this music, you're like, I don't see where they had grounds to stand on. But anyway, so that was like my final thought on it. I just had to spit that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll let you talk about Lucas.
Well, I was just gonna.
Since you were already there.
I was simply gonna say that I do believe it was just a few days ago. It was within the past week. The story is that a representative from LucasArts got in touch with Disney, talked to them, and got them to remove the claim. So now the video is no longer monetized and it's no longer claimed by Warner. So it's once again his own.
Yeah, and both of us, like, we're not legal experts. We really don't understand how Lucasfilms, like, were able to put their foot down since they don't own the franchise and be like, no, like, this is bad. From what I understand, there were some agreements made in the contract between Disney and Lucasfilms. So from what I understand, it was breaking the grounds of one of their agreements, and they were able to put their foot down on that and be like, no, like, you're going against what we agreed upon, and this is not going to fly. Also, not that, and this is something I'd like to briefly touch on, but apparently a lot of people were threatening to boycott the 9th movie that's going to release. John and I have very, very similar feelings on this. We talked a little bit about it during lunch today. And, yeah, my opinion on that is there's certain products in the tech industry I do not buy because I do not stand behind the company, just like I don't pre-order games because the company needs to earn my money up front. Like, I'm not going to pay them to release Fallout 76. In recent events, like, that would be the best example. There's certain products I don't buy because the company has done some very, very bad things and they refuse to own up to.
Or even you just have a personal bad experience.
Yeah.
Why continue to go back to a company that hasn't been able to facilitate you with your needs the way you need them dealt with?
Exactly. Where was I going with that?
But with that being said,
I totally lost my train of thought there. But yeah, so with that being said,
it went in a tunnel. It's
a little different. I know that me not buying that company's product is not going to put them under. The million people or whoever that were threatening to boycott the 9th movie, Disney's not going to feel that. Like, yeah, their sales will be a little bit down, but quite honestly, like, I really don't think they cared. Like,
I guess my take on it would be that frustrations are understandable, and it's nice to hope that every company and that everyone that would service products and that would present us with services would be doing so for our benefit, on our best interests. But they're not, and it's a little bit ridiculous to think that they would.
Yeah.
In the sense that they're trying to make money. They are commercial, and thus, yeah, they'll screw you over. It'll happen. You can never predict who's going to do it and when they're going to do it and what the circumstances are going to be. And so it's fine to appreciate a company for its products and services, but to have such faith in them, such good faith, and believe that they are a champion of the people is dangerous for those who would believe such a thing.
Yeah.
You set yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
I won't say it's inevitable that it'll happen, but there's just no reason that it can, and you don't know. So
yeah, and let me clarify, because kind of what I said totally makes me sound kind of douchey. So what I'm saying is, like, I'm not condemning the people who were threatening to boycott. If they want to boycott, like, they've got their own personal reason to do that. But for them to be like, we changed the tides, like, it's because of me. Like, me, like, no. Like, quite honestly, the million plus people who threaten to boycott, probably half of them would go watch the movie anyway, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, so people who are boycotting for the cause, like, that's awesome. Like, I commend you all. Like, stand up. Like, be smart with your money. Like, don't just throw it at a company because they're making a product. Like, actually buy the product with your head, like, not just your wallet. But yeah, so I just want to clarify that because that probably sounded really, really stupid on my part.
Well, yeah, and you're buying a product. You're not buying
Yeah.
a gift. It's not a.
Yeah.
Anyway though, I think maybe a good thing to talk about getting into the end of this issue is that and since we're here, I honestly I'm not sure. Like you said, we're not we're not paralegals. We don't know this stuff.
Any advice regarding legal issues on this podcast and or stream should be taken with a grain of salt.
We cannot be held responsible for.
It is opinion and opinion only.
But so I'm not sure how the legality of it all shakes out, but I would imagine that even without the Imperial March, it's Disney owned characters. It's Darth Vader. It's Padme. Yeah. This is their property. It's Star Wars, and if they so wanted to claim it, I think they would still probably. It's. I think I'm not certain. I'll just leave it there. I don't know. They very well could. I don't know for sure. But I think the bigger question is, or the bigger point to make is that regardless, there was probably better ways to handle this. Yeah. And I don't know if it can all be thrown on Disney. I mean, to be fair, I mean, Warner definitely was the one who spotted it. Now, they're two separate companies. Of course, if Warner were to issue a claim, I would presume they would probably consult Disney, but I don't know that for sure. I have no idea how that dichotomy shakes out either. So,
I mean, it could be delegated out to where, like, they don't need to contact Disney with every little thing that goes on.
And it's very possible Warner did this. This whole shitstorm occurred. Disney said, ooh, and they backed it on up. It's possible they really didn't need the convincing of Lucasfilms to take action and take the claim down. But either way, there were probably definitely better ways. That being said, I do understand why they would. Something like this could be detrimental to them, surely. A question that's posed a lot is, well, there's all kinds of content out there that does this. Why is it not being taken down here and here? It's because, well, to be very honest, it's not of note, and it's not likely to be so harmful. Companies do pick their battles, and the reason that you hear about the ones you do is because you did hear about them, because they're big enough that they were able to make an impact that you heard about it, and those are the ones that get taken down. And there is a reason for it. It could become dangerous for them later on. You let it here, it just creates fires in other places down the road. But that being said, I think they definitely could have handled this situation better. Yeah. Definitely did not make them look good in the public eye.
Yeah, and part of the reason I'm wondering why they took it down, or part of the reason I think they went ahead and removed the strike, I'm wondering if kind of Warner just reacted out of reflex, like this is what they normally do, so this is how they reacted, and they didn't really see it the way the public saw it through their eyes, where this guy spent a lot of money making a film that he was going to make no money off of for a community that he cared about and a community that backed him. So I think it was more of a act of reaction rather than just like thought out process.
You know what? Now that I think about it, that does jive a lot with them. That makes a lot of sense, because that does seem to be the tendency of Warner. They immediately seize upon videos,
Yeah.
and then traditionally, when there's enough pushback, they'll suddenly let it go.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about the incident where Greenpeace put up this campaign against Lego because of their association with Shell, and they used a song from the Lego movie in the background, and it was a cover. It was purely within fair use rights, but Warner immediately seized upon it, shut it down.
No, I didn't hear about that.
And then within a short time, they let up again because of the pushback, the amount of reporting that went on it. They let
Yeah.
they let Greenpeace air the video, which they were completely in the right to do.
Yeah.
The big honest truth is that YouTube tends to just, I mean, like you said, big stick. Warner's definitely one of these companies, carries it around, and YouTube just relents.
Yeah, and
Sorry, YouTube, but
YouTube
you've heard it
has
before.
a very notorious reputation of not siding with its creators and immediately siding with the other side. A lot of times people find their channels with copyright strikes all the time, and they take care to make sure any movies playing in the background are muted. Like me, I did a video where Donkey Kong Country was playing on a system behind me. Made absolute sure to mute it so that way Nintendo didn't get me. Just things like that. But somebody might report it, and a lot of times what it is the algorithm just kind of skims over it. And if it gets specifically reported by a big company, an actual person will go and look at it.
Sure.
But if the algorithm sees a copyright report on this video, it's almost immediately just boom, copyright strike. And then you have to go through the process of disputing it. Right. Which is an option going through YouTube, and it's pretty crappy.
Is it still the case where the company that hands down the strike reviews the appeal? Is that still how it's set up?
Sure.
That's bananas. I never understood that.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought they had changed it to where an actual YouTube representative.
Okay.
Because
some sort of third party.
Once you get big enough and you become a partner in the partner program, which I don't have to worry about it at this point. I have to worry about copyright strikes on my channel, but as far as people taking monetization, I don't have to worry about that right now. I'm not part of the partner program. But once you are, you, from what I understand, get a representative, which is basically an area manager.
Okay.
You might have a handful of people for the whole East Coast, and they're supposed to be stepping in and helping review things and seeing what's wrong, what you can change, But I mean, truth of the matter is, even if this was an instance where he cared about the money, the golden hour of that video making money was gone. He would have made the most money in that first week. So, but like I said, it's not an issue of they were getting ready to shut his channel down. They just took over earning money on something that he made for free for the general public, which is why so many people were in outcry about it.
Yeah. It's not a matter really of whether it's technically legally right or legally wrong. It just feels wrong to many. And it's I mean, it's why you generally pay someone for to cover you on this kind of stuff, huh?
Yeah. And just for instance, churches and other nonprofits and things like that, I mean, it would be just as morally wrong if, a church made a video series or whatever and released it to the public, but were making money off of it, even though they released it for the community and their nonprofit. Kind of different in that aspect, but same principle. This video wasn't supposed to make money for anyone. Like, it was just for the community. And it just felt like Warner was like dipping its fingers in just to earn that like extra little bit of green. But like I said, it ended up being a happy ending. The creator has announced that he will be working on the second part of the series. It'd be super awesome if, like, you know, companies help sponsor the video in some way. Like, I don't know if they could do that and he still keep those like legal obligations. But I don't see where donated materials towards the movie would be harmful. Like, you can donate to a church, you can donate to an organization. Why can't you donate to a fan film? So, I mean, it'd be really cool if like Canon and some other people saw it and was like, "Oh man, this would be pretty dope if we back this guy." Like, but who knows? Like that, it's pretty exciting. It's nice. Sure. It's nice that the community recognized them in the way they did. Like, normally that doesn't happen. But
well, looks like we're starting to push time. We did have another topic. We could,
let's do it.
you know, we could relegate it to the question of the day.
Okay.
I'll just break it down a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
We don't have one of those anyway, so
it's like almost 8:00 on the Tuesday. I got nowhere to be.
Work, push.
I only gotta go home and just do some work, and it can wait.
Priorities, come on.
Right.
All right, so let me present this to you then. Curtis and I were talking a little bit.
That's dangerous.
And we were talking about Super Metroid. Shocker. And
do we ever really talk about anything else?
Nothing else important. Super Metroid is love. Super Metroid is life. We were also talking about some other games in the series, but before we get that far, let me point this out. We were talking about, I had mentioned that the mock ball, because it allows you to sequence break in that game, and thus makes the game the player's oyster. They have complete agency for the most part to do what they want to do.
Just sounds so gross. Sorry, continue.
But anywho, I had mentioned that that's what gives that game all its glory. And I have to take that a little back just a little bit, just a hair, because that's not true. There's there are moments in Super Metroid that are just completely unexpected, narrative moments that just really add to that game, and it brings up upon a game philosophy that's kind of common, and that's how much control should the player be given. You have games like Bethesda games, like Fallout, like the Elder Scrolls games, in which the player is given almost complete control. There's so much that can be done, and you can break the game. But that's part of what makes those games so fun, is the lack of limitations. On the other hand, you have narrative-driven games like the Uncharted series, and those are hugely popular for a reason. They're very well done, and you're completely guided. You can't break out, but it's the narrative that drives you forward and keeps you interested, and keeps you invested. And you can actually see a lot of this in the Game Boy Advance games that were made for Metroid. That would be Metroid Zero Mission, which is a remake of the original Metroid, and Metroid Fusion. In Metroid Fusion, well, let's start with Zero Mission. Zero Mission, the game is a remake of Metroid. And for the most part, it pretty much guides you all the way through. There's always, you move from from location to location that will create a guiding icon along the map, and you move from these icons to icons instead of simply just exploring. However, the fact remains that you can, and in fact, you can sequence break in that game. In the original Metroid, you before Mother Brain, there's the two bosses, Kraid and Ridley, and you can fight them in their order. There, you can have several routes to get to them, and it's very much the same in Zero Mission. Fusion, on the other hand, largely narrative driven. In fact, the levels, the worlds are completely tucked away into their own environment. They don't cross each other. However, there are some very compelling moments in that game. And without getting into too much or spoiling right now or anything like that, this all brings us to this question. What do you think about that, Curtis? Controller, player agency versus game design, narrative grip, and on that then specifically, Fusion or Zero Mission, which is better?
Ooh, yikes! So that's a very, very hard question. I honestly lean more towards the narrative aspect of things. Like I enjoy a good story. I enjoy a good like Fusion. How you're able to go from area to area, and then there's like backtracking like through them as you unlock different abilities and things like that. I feel like, to me, that's more interesting just because like you get to revisit areas, you get to see how more powerful you are, but pertaining more towards like the narrative side, I feel like it gives you more flexibility with the story. So how do I explain it? So Metroid 1 felt very, very bland to me because there was no story. Like, you start out on this planet, and unless you read the instruction manual, you had no idea who you were. You were a space dude, and you would immediately go to the right because most people are right-handed, and that's just the way you lean right out the gate. So a lot of people, myself included, you would go right, and then you'd end up stuck. And you're like, what the heck? This game's junk. Like, how am I supposed to know where to go? And then eventually you would turn left, and you would find that immediately out the gate you're supposed to get the morph ball. And that would allow you to get a little further through the stage. And then you'd like stumble your way through the game some more, and you'd find missiles. And then the missiles would help you find other power-ups that lead to other power-ups. But I don't know, I might be completely derailing off topic here. But
well, I see what you're saying though, that earlier on, when Metroid is created, it's when the NES was still in prime form, and thus a standard wasn't fully adopted, and so people were willing to hammer away but because it was something new and it was still somewhat exciting in that regard. But when Super Metroid, by the time it rolled around, standards were pretty well set, and those complaints about Metroid being confusing and a bit convoluted were already in stake. So when they created Super Metroid, the team had to be a little bit more wary of that, had to figure out how to guide the player a little better, and at the same time still give them some use.
So I apologize. I completely butchered the question of the week. I was thinking what was better, like narrative or no narrative.
Well,
I didn't realize it was more what's better, Metroid Zero Mission or Fusion.
I think that question really does format itself well into the question of Fusion or Zero Mission.
Fusion all the way.
Does it still apply there?
So like Fusion, like all the Metroid games, you were the hunter. Like, you were the person that came down to the planet. You were hunting down Ridley in Super Metroid to find the Metroid. You were hunting down Mother Brain. You were hunting down other Metroids in Metroid 2. But Fusion was the first time that they completely role shifted and you were powerless and you were hunted. Like, I remember the first time that I encountered the SAX in Fusion, I nearly crapped my pants. Like, that was such an intense moment because, like, your first instinct is to fight. You will not win. Like, he will kill you in, like, 3 hits. But, like, it brought a grander level of, like understanding your place in the universe. Like, you were no longer like on top of the food chain. Not to mention that I felt like since Super Metroid, it was the first Metroid with an actual like story.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like they
even Super Metroid is sort of a rehash of Metroid.
Like it really wasn't a story. Like, a lot of the stuff you had to kind of like I said with the first Metroid, you had to read in the instruction manual. But Fusion, it was the first time that they actually had like characters and personalities and stuff like that. Like, it was the first time that Samus actually showed like personality.
It's true. And there were some actual serious changes in the story.
Yeah.
Some things that were irreversible, things they couldn't come back from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the beginning of the game, Samus's makeup, genetic makeup completely changes. I mean, her appearance, her iconic appearance in that yellow power suit, it's completely taken away.
And I have to say, I'm honestly more of a fan of like slendered down like fusion suit Samus than power suit Samus. Like, it always seems so bulky and like clunky looking, whereas this one you felt more like a ninja. Like running around in the spaceship and like jumping through different sections.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I love Metroid in general. Fun series of games. But I'm definitely generally more driven by a narrative than without. In that, more than that, Fusion just does such a great job at sucking you in, at gaining your intention, your focus. It was just a beautifully created game. I mean, you can't sequence break. I mean, it seems like I mean that's just the nature of Metroid.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, it honestly becomes one of my favorite games in the series, and I would say even more so over Zero Mission, which is it's a highly contested statement to make.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed Metroid Zero Mission. I've played through quite a few times. Probably not as many times as I've played through Fusion. But honestly, if it wasn't for Zero Mission, I wouldn't have went back and actually played the original Metroid. I had the original Metroid on Game Boy Advance with like their classic hit series that they had. And yeah, it was because of Zero Mission that I actually bought that and played it and beat it. But I feel like Zero Mission is more of a testament towards the series as it has been, whereas Fusion was like their first chance at actually branching out and seeing like where the series could take them. And quite honestly, I feel like if it wasn't for Fusion, we wouldn't have the Prime series, because the Prime series dabbled more into like the dark side of the Metroid franchise. Like, it's always been kind of dark. Like, you're in space, you're fighting monsters. Like, it's not a happy series. You're not playing Super Mario World with bright, vibrant colors. No, you're in dull, dark caves with lava and stuff that's trying to kill you.
You're hired to and nearly do exterminate an entire species of...
Yeah. All but one.
Where's PC culture on that now?
Right. Hashtag save the Metroids. But yeah, so I feel like Fusion in that one game gave the franchise more to expand upon and kind of grow into the future with than any of the other franchise did, besides maybe Super Metroid. I feel like a lot of the modern mechanics they kind of figured out through Super Metroid. And I do see a lot of the mechanics in Fusion as well as Zero Mission. Because if you've ever played the first and second one, it's clunky. Like, you don't feel crisp jumping from platform to platform. Super Metroid, like me and John have raved about in the past, like, it's so much more polished of a platformer. Not even a platformer. Is more of like an exploration.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we could try to classify it to its own genre. People have been trying that for years. That's why we get the very clunky Metroidvania.
I was going to say, it plays like a Metroidvania.
Jeez.
But yeah, Fusion all the way for the win.
Yeah, agreed.
Are there any special points you were wanting to make on that? I feel like I was like hogging the microphone.
I don't know. I feel like you actually you summed it up pretty beautifully there. I would definitely agree.
I used my purdy words on it.
I would still put Super Metroid at the top, but
yes,
yes, but that was not the question.
There's neither here nor there. But yeah, so we've made a pretty strong run out of this week. So I think that's probably where we're gonna wrap things up there.
I think so too.
Thank you all for checking out the stream, and if you're listening to this in the future, thank you for listening to this podcast. Yeah, this has been Player Tuesday, and we hope to see you again next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm Curtis.
I'm John.
And we will see y'all later.